What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP, and welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. We have a huge series preview right here on this channel for you on deck. Our New York Mets travel to Philadelphia to take on the division leading Philadelphia Phillies in a huge weekend set. It's a 3-game series. And this is going to be so crucial for our New York Mets in terms of securing the series win. Before we get into it, please make sure you hit that thumbs up. It helps the channel out a lot. Make sure you subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner, hover over that icon and subscribe while you're watching. And let me know your expectations of this series from our New York Mets in the comment section down below. I want to hear what you all have to think. Again, these are your pitching matchups, games 1, 2, and 3. We were live on the off-day stream, had a very special guest talking Mets baseball with me. We previewed this series just a little bit, but again, I wanted to get into a bit more detail before we go live on the pregame show later today at 5:30 p.m. ahead of game 1, which is at 6:40 p.m. unusual start time for an East Coast game, and this game is going to be aired on ESPN Plus. The pitching matchup is Jose Quintana going for the New York Mets versus familiar foe Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola has been racking up the strikeouts in his career against the New York Mets. I looked before I record this. He is only 2 strikeouts shy of 200 strikeouts against the New York Mets in his career. He's got a lethal knuckle curveball that always gets hitters off balance, and then he'll surprise hitters to put them away with a 93 mile per hour four-seam fastball. Again, the fastball is not going to overwhelm you, but when you look at an 80 mile per hour curveball and then see the fastball, if you're expecting curveball especially, that is going to sort of slow your bat down, and more often than not, he will get that whiff with that combination. But Jose Quintana, again, we can just hope for more consistency, or I guess maintained consistency from Quintana. Has been great his last 3 outings, especially the last outing against the Cincinnati Reds, 6 2/3 scoreless innings out of Quintana. That changeup again is his bread and butter, as are the 2 other lefties for the Philadelphia Phillies going into this matchup, Colby Allard and Christopher Sanchez. They rely heavily on their changeup, and Jose Quintana, when he's on, that changeup will be on. So again, favorable pitching matchup here in game 1, definitely for the Philadelphia Phillies, but the bats, we'll talk about that here in just a second, need to have the back of Jose Quintana. Luis Severino, who's been on fire so far in his first 2 starts of the month of September, gets the ball in game 2. He has been pitching absolutely tremendous. The arsenal of pitches have been working, and he's got a 1.32 ERA in the month of September, looking to continue his success against counterpart Colby Allard. I believe Allard just recently got called back up for the Phillies in late August. I think it was August 25th, and he's made 2 starts in that time frame. I'm not thoroughly impressed by what I see out of Allard's Savant page. I'm going to knock on wood. If you all heard that, I knocked on wood because every single time I say that, these opposing pitchers that I say that about end up throwing a gem against the New York Mets. Allard relies heavily, like I mentioned, with his changeup, he relies heavily on it, and the other arsenal of pitches he just simply hasn't had that much success with. So I would give the pitching matchup advantage in game 2 to the New York Mets. And you have Christopher Sanchez versus David Peterson game 3, 2 southpaws. David Peterson is looking to bounce back from a a horrible outing in Toronto. The command wasn't there. 4 1/3 innings pitched and 4 earned runs given up. That was so uncharacteristic of 2024 David Peterson. I fully expect him to go out there and have that command and lead the New York Mets to a victory in game 3. Christopher Sanchez is having a great season as well over there for Philadelphia. I believe he's got an ERA in the 3.3s. The changeup again, right? We're talking about changeups. This is the series of changeups. That is Christopher Sanchez's best pitch, as is Colby Allard's and Jose Quintana's. So again, the pitching matchups are what they are. I think it's pretty even spread across the series, and we'll see who prevails there. But right, we talk about these offenses. It's kind of a tale of 2 tapes right now in terms of how each of these respective teams' offenses are going. You have the Philadelphia Phillies, who've been catching fire recently, especially Bryce Harper, who has 11 hits in the last week. He doesn't have any home runs in that stretch, but we all know with his 26 home runs of the season and in seasons prior, he can put the ball out of the yard, especially at Citizens Bank Park in a hurry. And then you have the New York Mets offense, who basically outside of Jose Iglesias, as we mentioned ended the stream yesterday, have been struggling and need to get back on track for the Mets to have a chance with this brutal schedule ahead of them to have a chance at this NL wildcard berth that they are after. So again, the Phillies lineup is talented. If you are a Phillies fan and you happen to stumble upon this video, hats off to your team. Us Mets fans are not naive to the fact that this is a deep lineup for the Philadelphia Phillies. You talk about Bryce Harper, very versatile. You talk about the power of Kyle Schwarber, leading all of that team in home runs with 35. Nick Castellanos seems like he's getting it together. He's got 20 home runs on the season. Trey Turner, we can't forget about him, batting almost 300 this season. You got Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, all that good stuff, right? I don't pay attention to Philadelphia Phillies baseball all that often, but they're 8 games over the Mets in the division, and I know that they are a talented team and not to be taken lightly. And we will be seeing plenty of them. 7, I believe, of the next 10 games are against the Philadelphia Phillies. So the Mets are going to have their works cut out for them. But if it's any stadium where this cold Mets lineup, right? These cold bats in this lineup can sort of turn it around. It is Citizens Bank Park. And I sort of hand selected 4 New York Mets bats, right, in this lineup and their career numbers at Citizens Bank Park to sort of show you all that this series, in my humble opinion, is where these bats turn it around. Starling Marte, at the top of the list, has had the most success of any Met at Citizens Bank Park. 380 career average over there, an OPS above 1,000, which is always phenomenal. And he's got 6 home runs, so he also knows how to utilize the short fences in those dimensions and put the ball out of the yard in Philadelphia. As does Brandon Nimmo, 7 home runs himself, a 270 average there in his career, and over a 415 OBP in Philadelphia. He gets on base and he sets the other guys up in this lineup for success. Obviously, he's probably not going to be batting in the leadoff spot. Maybe he goes back down to number 2 to set up the middle of the order, or he might just be in the middle of the order. But anytime you get on base is awesome, and that's what Brandon Nimmo does in Philadelphia. And Pete Alonso, although he's got a 225 batting average in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park, he has the RBI production, right? He has the power production, 9 home runs and 29 RBIs in his career over there. And to round things out, the guy that's been one of the best New York Mets bats in this lineup alongside Mark Vientos and Francisco Lindor this whole entire season, Jose Iglesias, batting 357 in his career at Citizens Bank Park. He's got an OPS well above 800, and also an on-base percentage above 370. These are the guys that I am looking for to be the catalysts of this lineup to try to get these bats going. And hopefully, if these guys get it going, they can support Francisco Lindor and the MVP type of numbers he's been putting up to keep the Mets afloat. And maybe that kind of gets the other guys going. And you're talking about your Francisco Alvarez's and your JD Martinez's. So huge series coming up, guys. I can't wait to talk about this with you all on the pregame show and the postgame show. I believe both of those streams are going down tonight. We got plenty of Mets coverage for you all throughout the rest of the season. Again, please, if you like what you hear, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. I'll be here with you all covering Mets baseball every step of the way. And as always, I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you're tapping on that notifications button and checking out all the latest content on the channel. Thank you.